Welcome back to your practice in Dianne Yoga. Today we're going to talk about balance. A couple of key elements that will help you in your balance, in your practice, in your general life, walking around trying to stay balanced. So there's three elements. One is the alignment. Begin with alignment. Begin with alignment in everything that you move and do. Mindfully pump your gas. Mindfully stand in line at the grocery store. Mindfully approach your yoga practice. So beginning with your mountain pose, we spread the feet, spread the toes, press the big toe ball mound, the pinky and the heels into the mat, allowing the energy to rebound up into the legs. A little inner rotation of those legs, just bring a little bit of the energy towards each other. And then bring the belly in, bring the shoulders back, and just get tall. Here's your mountain pose. Ideally, you want the ear lined with the shoulder, lined with the hip, lined with the ankle. Nice and tall, and not on fire like at attention, but natural, a natural state. And we'll begin by taking that center of gravity, which is located just below the belly button. So it's different on every person. Just about here, picture that being a line straight up and down your body, called the plumb line. We're going to shift that center of gravity from one foot to the other in our mountain pose. So make sure your feet are parallel, re-engage your mountain pose, and just picture that center line of gravity by taking that belly button almost and moving it towards the right big toe, pressing that into the mat. And then bring that center line gravity, visualizing to the left foot, big toe ball mound, press that into the mat. Feel the weight come off the opposite foot just a little bit. And then come back to center. So mountain pose begins at the center line of gravity. The plumb line is the visualization we want here. Now that we have alignment fairly understood, the next thing to think about in keeping your balance is strength. We want the strength of all of the glutes, the quads, the hip flexors, the psoas, everything that your yoga practice will bring to you, your regular yoga practice will bring to you, will take care of that. A couple of perhaps preparatory poses you could do ahead of time would be Utkatasana with a block. Squeezing the block between the thighs, bringing the weight into the heels, and reaching the hands forward. Just squeeze the block. You'll feel the entire back quarter just kind of strengthen. The toes are lifted, weight in the heels. Wonderful pose that strengthens a lot. And then come on back up. We're going to do two of those just to warm these muscles up. Squeezing that block. You don't even need to use a block. I just put it here for purposes of adding that little extra inner rotation of the thighs towards the block. Weight in the heels. Lift the arms. Utkatasana can be straight ahead, arms up. Just keep the weight in the heels, lifting the toes, keeping the belly pulled in. That's part of the balance as well. A stable pelvis. Breathe. Inhale. Squeeze the block, sit in the chair a little bit further, and then release it down. Just warming up these muscles for our balance. Just 2 or 3 breaths. Now we're going to take that line of gravity we've been speaking about and our strong quads and glutes we've just fired up, and take your concentration, the third element, with your center line of gravity over to the right foot. Press that big toe ball mound down and just simply lift that left thigh. Lift it parallel with the earth, sole of the foot lined up with the floor, hip points facing forward, fingertips touching perhaps the wall or a chair. Bring the shoulders back and breathe. Inhale, standing leg is strong. Lift both hip points up. A helpful thing here is shoulders back, belly in. One more. Curl those toes up a little bit to the sky. And exhale, place that foot back down. And the other side. Bringing that center line of gravity. Firing up that left quad. Hand on your hip. Not up here on your waist, but more down here on the hip. Center line of gravity. Same plane. Raise that right foot to the sky. Leg parallel. foot parallel with the earth, and you tend to sink into the hip here. Keep that standing leg and quads strong. Breathing. Perhaps your hand comes off the wall or the chair. And breathe. Remember, the price of balance is constant movement. Constantly moving, shaking, baking, quaking, finding that place where we balance. It's never static. And exhale, bring that leg back down. And I'll tell you why. Because every muscle, nerve fiber, everything in our inner ear, our skin cells, everything is trying to align ourselves with that center of gravity when we come to one foot. And it's a constant motion. Constant motion. So if you're shivering and moving around, don't feel bad about that. That's what's necessary. Just keep strong, keep tall, and keep light. Let's do tree. Taking the toes into the mat, bringing the heel up to the ankle, curling those toes, and making sure these knees are faced in 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock position. Perhaps you're still hanging onto the chair. Perhaps one hand comes to heart center. Perhaps the other hand joins it nice and flat, pressing the palms together under the sternum for a little bit of a lift. And breathe. Steady gaze about 8 feet out. A nice thirsty gaze. Remember the principles. You can picture your plumb line. You can bring the shoulders back, that thigh is engaged. If your gaze is steady, whether you have one hand on the chair or not, reach the other one up in the air. Perhaps the other one joins it. Keeping that knee from moving in, you want to move that knee towards the back wall and breathe. Perhaps gazing up ultimately. And exhale, hands down through heart center to switch sides. Mountain pose. Plumb line shifts. Heel comes in. Not sinking in that hip, but pressing into that foot, big toe, and have the knee 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, and bring those hands to heart center, right here. Steady gaze, shoulders back. Perhaps we still need the chair here. Perhaps you will for a while until you feel comfortable, feeling light from the waist up and rooted from the hips down. Perhaps one hand comes and just raises up and the gaze comes up in the other hand. Or maybe we're here for a while, just working on the different feelings, the different levels of all the things shifting, trying to find balance constantly, like life. Inhale, and exhale, release it back down and let it go. One more to add to this would be a semblance of airplane. Facing the chair, or even the wall, we're simply going to take the right leg back, doing the work, beginning with mountain pose. Taking that line and shifting it to the left foot, and then pushing off that left foot to bring the right foot back, toes pointing. Keeping the hip points forward, and just lifting that leg behind you. Perhaps the opposite hand comes up in the opposite direction as that foot. Keeping the hips squared forward. Inhale, exhale. Perhaps we pivot just a little bit, keeping the hips squared, bringing that toe back. Maybe this hand hovers for a breath and comes up. Maybe we're here for quite a while. 3 breaths, one more. And exhale, float that back down. And the other side. Mountain pose, left foot, toe, keeping the hips square to the front, lift that toe. This will strengthen the back quad as well and the gluteus max. And perhaps the opposite hand comes into the air and lengthens, keeping the neck long in line with the arm. Nice standing strong leg. Perhaps we kick and pivot just a little bit further. Knee not locked, nice and just gently holding you there, strong but not locked. Perhaps the other hand comes along at some point. Perhaps we stay here, exhale and pivot. 3 breaths. float it back down. So take your time. Write these 3 poses down. Visit them regularly, every day. Once you get down alignment, strength, and concentration. And then allow gravity to come to you. It's already there. We just need to line up with it. So thanks for visiting today. The highest in me honors the highest in you. Namaste.